You will have to jump off a cliff, just knowing that you will not crash. Let me tell you, everybody has their baggage and everybody has their demon. So you might as well deal with your own demon and everything will work out fine. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.
Life itself can be a very vast wilderness with a lot of challenges, trials, and tribulation. I don't think there's any one living person that can avoid that lonely road. Yeah.
Challenges are inevitable, but at the end of the day, you make your way.
In fact, sometimes when your life is going through a smooth pathway, when your life is too smooth, then there's a problem, because that means you're not growing.
First of all, be kind to yourself, because life is already hard enough and we all go through our challenges. Everyone is dealing with one thing or the other, so remember that. But be kind to yourself and know that it is a process, it is part of life. When I was younger, I used to make a list of who I wanted to be when I grew up in terms of character, and part of those lists, it included patient, it included strong, it included brave, and it included being known for the right reasons. When I look back now and when I look at my life now, I am those things. I am patient, I am brave, I am strong, and I am known for reasons that I'm grateful for. But it came with a price. And it came with a lot of sacrifice, a lot of pain, a lot of tears, a lot of blood. And at that time, I didn't know what I was asking for. All I knew was that when I grew up, I wanted to be a strong person, I wanted to be a brave person, and I wanted to be known for good reasons.
But for me as an individual, life challenges have emerged in my own case, you know, with personal desires, personal goals, failure, which is a very paramount part of living. You cannot do without failing. You have to fail at some point in your life. You have to, you know, have some sort of disappointment, physical, mental, or material. So life challenges can come in these forms.
After every challenge comes a promotion. And so basically, challenges are bound to stay on this earth. They are not bound to stay in our lives, but at some particular junctures of our lives.
Some of the challenges I've faced in life have always been health related, which require in one way or the other basically fighting for my health, fighting for my life, and ultimately fighting for survival and sanity.
Managing challenges of life, scaling through challenges of life. I'll write a book about it, I tell you. For me, I think is realizing that there are challenges, knowing that they are not reality, they are not what you would have forever. Knowing that you can change that situation. For instance, if you're dealing with failure in your workplace, failure in your career, failure as a person, what is making you to fail? Ask yourself that question. When you realize what the problem is, you work towards solving the problem, and then you're fine. And then life is a roller coaster. You can't have it all rosy. So when you realize that it's part of the play, it's part of reality, you manage it with grace, you manage it with peace, knowing that it will not last forever, and that you have all it takes within you as an individual to overcome that situation, to overcome that lonely place, to emerge a better person.
A lot of the challenges, like I've mentioned, have been health related. So it started with being born with sickle cell anemia and developing a lot of the complications known in sickle cell anemia, like osteoporosis, septic arthritis, acute chest syndrome, and when I was 15, I completely stopped working, and I ended up being in a wheelchair for 6 years. And during those 6 years, I had to learn how to walk all over again. I think it's one of the greatest challenge I've ever faced, because I went from being able to walk, run, ride a bike, do everything, to basically being in a bed where nurses have to literally lift me up and turn me over, or the exercise for the day involved me standing for 30 minutes just to relearn how to do that all over again.
And so, once they come, we are not to, fidget or run away. Once you run away, then your strength is small.
I think I gave up every night, and then in the morning I wake up, I'm like, okay, there's no other way. You have to just keep going, because what's the alternative? So, and for me, I don't know how to worry over and over about something. I don't know how to rant or complain about something unless there's something I can do about it. So I could finish crying or complaining or ranting, maybe cry myself all night, and then in the morning I'll wake up and I know that there's nothing I can do about the situation. There's nothing no one can do about the situation. It all comes back to me, and I have to do my part. There was only so much the doctors could do. They could perform a surgery that was successful, but it was up to me to do the rehabilitation and put in the exercise and work to make that work.
So some of us we're in the midst of the challenges, and the solutions to coming out of those challenges are lurking around the challenges. And so the most important thing is the ability to see far, to see farther than the challenges. Look beyond the mountain. Just gaze at the end of the tunnel, because there's going to be surely light at the end of the tunnel. So go through it, pray extensively, and before you know it, you're out.
And then my dreams, I had so much dreams. I had a lot to look forward to in the future, and I was at a standstill. So the only way for me to go to where I wanted to be in life and be able to live my dreams, I knew that I had to take care of whatever it was I was dealing with right now. So dreams were what helped me stay faithful and keep up the hope in order to hopefully in the future be able to live the life I had imagined.
So much for tuning in. My name is Omenesa, and you are watching Emotions. And this is a show where I pretty much encourage you to take control of your emotions, or your emotions will take control of you, and we can't have that. Today, my topic is on the wilderness. And I chose this topic because there was a day that I was talking to a lot of women, and I was encouraging them and counseling them, and it was in a group. And the woman just stood up and said, why is it that we have so many wilderness experiences? Like, that wasn't even the right word. And I said, well, it's not that you're having a wilderness situation in your life. You have to understand that life is a wilderness. And the moment you realize that you are living in this life on borrowed time, and it is timed. And the moment that you realize that life itself is a wilderness, you will stop being shocked. Because you see, in a wilderness, you can expect snakes. In a wilderness, you can expect bears and tigers and rodents, ants. You can expect all of that. But if you're living in a fancy world in your mind, thinking that everything shouldn't be the way they are, so-and-so shouldn't have died. I shouldn't have been raped. That situation should never have happened. I shouldn't have been in a wrong marriage. If you can just settle down and calm down and just think to yourself that, you know what, life itself is a wilderness, you would stop being shocked at all of this. So basically, if you're living in a wilderness, then how do you survive in a wilderness? And that's what I want to talk to you or that's what I want to talk about today, is how will you survive in a wilderness? First of all, you have to admit that you're in a place that you have no control over. You are already here. So it's either you kill yourself or you keep running. So when you realize that you're living in a wilderness, you have to accept that you're here. And what do I do now? Stop trying to find ways of escaping and find ways to actually survive in the wilderness. Don't find ways of getting out of the wilderness. Find ways of actually being and enjoying the wilderness, because it could be fun. And that's what life is. So the first rule of thumb is keep running. When you're in a wilderness, if you stand still, you will get eaten. You will get chewed up. You will be devoured. So you have to keep running. You can't look back. The good book talks about a woman named, she was Lot's wife. And she looked back. She didn't look back because she was weak or because she was a coward. She just couldn't even imagine having to go all like having to just press one more time to another unknown destination, to another unknown, unplanned plan, to another plan that I never planned, to another union that I'm really not sure of, to another job that I'm really not sure of, to another venture, to another adventure, to another choice. So she looked back because she just didn't know how she was going to stomach yet another stride. But that's the game in the wilderness. You have to be able to stomach another stride. You have to be able to pick yourself up and keep going. Just keep going. I remember when I was diagnosed with scoliosis, it was really hard on my family. Extremely hard on my family, especially when my parents were pastors. So God pretty much used them to heal the sick and raise the dead. And then it came to their only child and nothing happened. They laid their hands on me and nothing happened. I didn't receive my healing. I had to go through the route of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and 18 hours of surgery. And you know, they had to break the two sides of the letter S because I do have scoliosis, and scoliosis is when your spinal cord is shaped like a perfect S. They broke the two sides of the letter S, they turned it into a letter I, and then they put a rod in my back to keep me straight. And every time that I walk through a metal detector, it makes a loud noise. The older I'm getting, the noise, the noise is beginning to fade. The older I'm getting, the noise is beginning to fade. However, I was so angry with God because I just didn't even understand. Like, why can't things just be normal? But I had to keep pushing. I couldn't sit down and be thinking about, no, I'm not going to do the surgery. I'm just going to wait for you to prove that you are God. That will be looking back. That will be actually taking inventory of the past things that he has done for other people and not looking forward to what he's about to do for me. And I can tell you this, at this stage in my life right now, I thank God that I have a testimony. I thank God that I have a story. I thank God that I went through that 18-hour surgery. I thank God that I have a rod in my spinal cord. I thank God that I have a story. I thank God that I have a scar. And that's the benefit of moving forward. You may have scar tissue, but the bleeding will stop. I can assure you of that. The bleeding will definitely stop. The scar may be there, but you wouldn't have the wound anymore. That's why you have to keep moving in the wilderness. You have to keep running. Because if you don't run, you're going to get eaten. You're going to get devoured. Another key to surviving in the wilderness is to get up when you're beaten. It's almost the same thing like the first point, you see, but this time if a snake bites you, yes, you are gonna have to take care of it immediately. You don't stand there communicating with the snake. Oh, why did you do that to me? Why did you bite me? Can't you see that I have a destination? Can't you see that I'm running? I thought that we were friends by now since we've been in the wilderness together. Why did you bite me? Why did you put your venom on the inside of me? Why did you decide to kill me softly? When you get beaten by a snake, You find yourself a corner, and you get that venom out, and then you run as fast as you can. You don't stand there and have a conversation with the snake. You don't do that. You don't ask it questions, because the longer you stay there, more snakes will come. Talking about more snakes will come, I would never forget when I was in Africa, and I had just finished a home service massage for a client of mine, and I was on my way back home. And there's something in Nigeria called along. It's pretty much like a taxi, but with so many people in it. And of course, they all pay their fare and everything, but they're going to different destinations, but it's pretty much like kind of like on the same route. And I was sitting down there, and right as soon as I walked in, there were two women there, and then I was there, and then there was a man sitting on the side of the door, and then there was somebody in the passenger seat, and of course the driver. And when we got to this really dark place, we noticed that he diverted and he wasn't driving in the same direction anymore. But okay, maybe it's one of those things. Well, it happened to be that the man on the passenger side, he was an armed robber. And the man who was sitting at the back with me, he was an armed robber. And of course, the driver was part of it. So we had 3 men, and we were 3 women in the car. And of course, the doors were locked, and it was on high speed. The car was on high speed. And I said, God, so this is it. This is how my life is going to end, here in a taxi cab. Oh my gosh. And I remember that I was freaking out. The other lady, she was beating them, she was slapping them, and they took out a knife. They threatened her with it. They stuck it all up in her legs. I mean, she just, out of fear, she kept screaming and shouting. The other lady just kept crying, please, please, please don't take my ID card. Please don't take my ID card. And in my mind, I'm like, girl, your ID? But then again, that ID was probably very, very important. And I'm thinking of my 2 phones. And I was thinking about my passport. I was thinking about so many things that were in my purse that I knew that I was about to lose. And I just told the man, I said, I could give you my wedding ring. And the moment I told him that I'll give him the wedding ring, he just, I mean, like, he acted like a bucket of cold water was just poured all over him. Like, he was humbled. He couldn't believe it. But I just felt in my spirit that I had to go that far. And yeah, he did take the ring. He took my purse. He took everything. He took my sandals. He took everything. He stuck his hand in my bra to find out, or to make sure that I didn't hide anything during the fight and everything with the other lady. And then he threw us out. And while we were trying to get people to pay attention that, hey, we were hitchhiking. We were like, hey, help us, help us, help us. It suddenly dawned on me that we really, really needed to get out of there, because there could be other armed robbers in the bushes waiting to just finalize the job. And even though we don't have anything to give at that moment, but there is something called rituals and all kinds of demonic stuff. But I told you that story to tell you that as soon as they dropped us on the road, we didn't take time to breathe. We didn't take time to recover from what just happened. No, we had to keep moving. We had to run on the road and make sure that we got another taxi cab to get us out of there, because we knew that there were still people in the bushes. We knew that there were still some snakes in the bushes. So in the wilderness of life, you have to keep running even if you are beaten. You have to keep running. And as you run and you find a safe haven, you go ahead and hide behind a tree or in a corner, and then you take that thing out. You suck that thing out. And don't swallow it, but you suck it out. You make sure that it comes out, and you never have a conversation with the snake. Okay, so first of all, you do have to realize that you're not going anywhere. So there are 2 choices. You die or you live. And then you're going to do all you can to live. And the best way that you can live is to keep moving, to keep running, to keep walking. And then another thing in the wilderness is you have to realize that not everything is bad in the wilderness. You see, because there is dew in the wilderness. There is rain. There is drizzles. And there are trees for shade. It's cool. Sometimes it's cool in the wilderness. So in this journey of life, in this journey of the wilderness, not everything is bad. Not everything is bad. It has rained sometimes in your life, hasn't it? You have been able to pay your tuition. You've been able to sustain a marriage for 10 years, for 15 years. You have children who actually obey you. And even if you don't have kids, you have a dog, you have a cat, you have a good job. There is something in your life that is worth being happy about. So, in the wilderness, you don't go around just concentrating on the snakes, concentrating on the dark, concentrating on the thorns, concentrating on the wet ground. No, no. You thank God for the sun. You thank God for the rain. There is something good in the wilderness. So, keep running. Thank your lucky stars. Thank God for the good times. Thank God for the bad times. Whatever you do, do not stop running. And then if you are somebody who is religious, you could be talking to Buddha, you could be talking to Jesus, you could be talking to Muhammad. Have a higher power that you are talking to, because you know what? You can't live in this wilderness alone. You can't. You can't do it. And if you try to do it, it's going to be a longer road. It's going to be a headache. And when you do get stung by a bee, it's going to be just you. Only you trying to solve that problem. So I would call upon God. I will call upon the universe. I will call upon your God. Whatever your God is, my God is Jesus. My God is the King of Kings and he's the Lord of Lords. I don't know what your God is. But you do have to have a higher power if you're going to make it in the wilderness. I don't know who you're talking to, but you're going to have to talk to God. You will have to talk to God because he's the only one who can get you out of that wilderness quicker and scratch free, scar free, if you want to be scar free. But I'm not going to promise you that. You will have some scars, but in order to stop bleeding, you are going to need God. So in the wilderness, you need to carry on that company, which is God. And then also be very, very much aware that you will also have company other than God, because there are other people running this race in the wilderness. So you got to be nice. You got to hold hands and run together. You have to love each other, because you are going towards the same destination, which will be hell or heaven, or which will still be death. So you are still going to die. So you are heading towards the same destination. You will have some sightseeing on the side. You will stop for a break once in a while. You will eat. You will accomplish some things, but you're still going to die. So in this journey of life, make sure that you are good to people, because you only get just one life. Make sure that your process is accelerated by not staying in a corner and crying and communing with bees and snakes. Make sure that you hold the hands of your neighbor and you are running towards that same destination. Try to be a good person. Try to love people. But most of all, love yourself, and don't be too hard on yourself, because after all, you are in the wilderness. So if you get beaten by a lion or if you get slapped by a bee, don't blame yourself for it. It's called life. Enjoy it. Don't sit down there moping. Enjoy it. And I promise you, you will get to the finish line. There is this song, In the Morning. I love this song so much because it reminds me, and it will remind you, that you will have dark moments in the wilderness. The sun wouldn't always shine. And as a matter of fact, you would wonder when the sun would actually set. But I promise you, if you stay the night, my father used to tell me, Bishop Ben Aruma, he used to tell me that if you stay the night, yeah, you'll be fine. So I encourage you to stay the night, because it will be all over in the morning. You don't have to worry about what tomorrow may bring. Yeah, it will be all over in the morning. In the morning. In the morning. It will be all over in the morning. In the morning. In the morning. Yeah. It will be all over in the morning. In the morning. In the morning. It will be all over in the morning. So that's my encouragement to you. Is that in the wilderness, you have to keep on running. There's only one way to get out of here. That's by dying. And we don't want to die before our time. So we might as well learn how to live in this life and be happy. Because remember, you will get to the finish line. All you have to do is learn the rudiments of how to make it work, which is staying alive. And I promise you, if you can just stay alive, if you can just wake up in the morning and get out of bed, things will be better and you will be closer to the end of the race. You will have to jump off a cliff just knowing that you will not crash. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.